2 episodes ago, I have asked for your feedback and help in designing this plane that you're watching right here. The plane was apparently stable at the beginning, but at the higher speeds, transonic, and also showed complete lack of horizontal and vertical stability and started cartwheeling. And boy, oh boy, did you guys deliver. So, I'm presenting you with a new and improved based on the Saab 39E Gripen. Yes, and also it includes your feedback and a special shout out to the users Ford6 for many helpful tips, as well as the user Kerbal Space Program Bigger is Bet and the OMG 3242 and Will Reaver 1455 and of course my longing standing patron Lowen Deber. So, I will be showing in this video a total from begin to finish trial, errors and improvements, which will be telling us how did it work, how did it go, and most importantly, how in the end we succeeded in terms of getting this plane to be really nice and stable. Now, you are observing a special simulation where I started to experiment with a single tail fin, and that was mainly due to the comments that I've gotten. Okay, you know, a vertical stabilizer should be a little bit more, you know, stable. And I've been actually trying to put in like the first wing or winglet, and then I did this run. So ultimately I had this 2 engines which were pushing the two, I think it's the Weasleys, who were actually pushing the plane and ultimately got stable, but in the end, as you can tell, it is complete and utter lack of your authority, which made this, well, fail pretty spectacular. Yes, this is a little bit different video, so it will be showing all of my trials and errors because I thought it would be interesting to for once show not only the successful mission but also the trials and tribulations which I am facing, so that you don't guys think I'm some sort of a guru. I just try harder. Yeah, actually. And in the end, then I put this winglets, which were not angled because I thought, okay, you know, vertical stability, it should be, you know, vertical. So I was trying then to experiment with those. And ultimately, at the beginning, I was always getting same or similar result. So when taking off, it seemed pretty stable. It would go up to 150, 180. And as long as we didn't bank it, it was actually flying quite well. The moment we touched on yaw, it went completely bananas. Why? I have literally no idea. Now, with your suggestions, when it comes with winglets of control surfaces and the tail fins are enormous amount of lift, and that's something that has been shown in one of the previous episodes, and that was causing a little bit of the drift. However, it was not the only thing. So in the end, I figured if I had an engine that could thrust vector, which is like the Panther, and that one started to look a bit more like the Gripen. Yes. So I started out, it's kind of funny, because if you think about it, I started with a plane which I hoped it would look like, you know, F-35, you know, Lightning or something. And then I ended up with a Gripen for whatever reasons. But if you take a look at this, I was using the jet mode, not the afterburning mode, and the plane was actually performing quite well. At this point, I didn't have the toggle mode switch enabled yet, and I just noticed that actually this is actually keeping a plane a lot more stable. However, at some point it also started suffering from similar issues, and that obviously meant that some sort of a redesign is in order. Now, I have decided to reduce the control deflections for the tail fin, and I figured, okay, hold on, I should probably, you know, enable the, let's see if we can then toggle the mode. And I was trying to get some cool screenshots for you. So if we went to the afterburner, just look how quickly it would come all the way to 140 meters per second. And also this kept the plane a lot more stable. Now, I didn't engage SAS because I know that I should, but I didn't want it to start, you know, flipping with the frontal fins, so I was just trying. And then I enabled the SAS, and look, We even managed to get past Mach 1. And then the plane was actually surprisingly stable. It was actually going quite well. So from that perspective, well, that was clearly a benefit. Now, if you look from this perspective, I have completely removed the air brakes, and I didn't have, but the aircraft was a little bit flimsy, so I don't know why when I tried to move it around, it just started flipping all of a sudden. And however, the initial stability has been achieved, at least to a degree. Now, when flying like this with 290, 280 meters per second, the aircraft seemed a lot more stable. Now, at some point, I started to lose a little bit of, yaw authority. However, for the time being, I'm actually pretty happy with the design. So that means this design could work, except in some cases it didn't. But I guess it's a problem of center of mass being too close to the center of lift, and the lack of a significant thrust actually made this craft. But it survived. Take a look at that. That's also a thought. Now, to help with this, I have increased the flap angles and everything, and I've put everything on the action group so I could better control the craft, and I figured I might as well add a bunch of air brakes. And by a bunch, I mean just initial to start, but later on a metric crap ton of them. Yes. Now, speaking of you guys, I know I've promised, and in this episode there are no test pilots, but in the real flight episode, which we will be performing for science, we are gonna have Ford 6 and Kerbal Space Program Bigger is Bet. It's probably gonna be called Bigger is Bet Kerman or something like that. The OMG 3242, you might get added, but to a different mission, because as you said yourself, you are not that qualified, but I don't know. I thought your input was quite helpful, so thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. By the way, guys, I'm really enjoying your feedback and suggestions on all of the crafts and missions that I'm taking, so I do encourage you, if you put some good suggestions there, you just might end up being the pilot there. Yeah. Alright, so we have Jeb and Bill pushing through, and as you can tell, we are maintaining sort of a surface stability, but as you can tell, I did a cardinal mistake. Now, the tail fin is an all-movable wing, and honestly, well, that shouldn't happen. So, I've in flight adjusted the control deflect parameters, which I think it's good, because ultimately it should not control that thing. However, apparently on the Mach Diamond's back, or when we were crossing, well, I figured I'd test once again the eject system, and yeah, it works. Bill, you know what to do. Now, that means we should completely kill the pitchy roll and all authority anywhere. So the flap control deflect, I'm just using this as a vertical stabilizer, nothing else. I do have on the winglets your authority, so I figured, okay, while I'm there, I'm going to be showing you, I'm using camera tools to catch some cool pictures of this plane leaving the ground. So yeah, I thought, take a look at this. Isn't it glorious? Yeah, I actually like nice cinematic views, and I thought, well, for once I could do the intro, and as you can tell, this is one of the intro variants. Now look how beautiful this craft looks, and when it flies, I mean, really. Now, at this point, I have not yet implemented moving the canard forward or down or up. So, yeah, at this point, I haven't yet implemented that. That will also come at the later iteration. Because, oh, take a look at that. We have crossed the Mach 1. And this time, we went quite a bit higher, because I wanted to test the stability improvements of the design when I disabled completely the control surfaces. And as you can tell, this thing flies decently, and you can tell that I'm completely paranoid when I'm actually controlling the damn thing. So yeah, think of this like a build/test episode, and do let me know in the comments below, do you like the build and /test episodes? Right. Yeah, easy does it, easy does it. There we go. Decelerating and just making sure that we have decelerated significantly, and now we are in the subsonic regime. Yes, beautiful. Alright, and and let's go and now test the landing. Now the air brakes are working actually quite well. I don't know if I have enough of them, and we are going a little bit fast. And I'm hearing all of you saying a little bit fast, you're almost gonna be landing supersonic. Yeah, I only realized that when I'm posting comments in the post-production, and I'm actually trying to bleed off surface velocity, but then again, I have the bottom air brakes, but we'll try to land anyway, won't we? Okay, let's see, how can we do it? And apparently these guys aren't enough. Okay, and we've landed, take a look at that. Whoa, oh, there's the ground, looks hard. Okay, one wing down, we can use one, and maybe not. Well, on the plus side, this was the first landing attempt. Okay, let's take another one, shall we? Now, that means the plane just might be working and we just messed up with the approach. So now, to keep things interesting, I will not be showing you all of the landing attempts. At some point when the aircraft becomes stable and everything works as intended, I'm gonna be focusing more on the landing side just to give you an idea. And there is a hidden bug well, not a bug, let's call it a design gap, because the bug ultimately is yours truly, or the guy between the monitor and the chair. Yes, that's me. But look at how beautiful it looks. Oh, this might be the screenshots for the episode. Oh, yeah. Oh, sexy. Hello. Now, anyway, we're gonna be trying to see the land this guy. Now, what happens is we have air brakes, but we don't have sufficient amount of them, and once I put 4, I'm decelerating enough. However, I'm having the bottom air brakes, which means they cannot be used while I'm landing on the runway. And I think that might be a little bit of a problem, as we will soon see. Now, we are losing a little bit of the vertical stability, but I was able to regain control by hitting hard on the accelerator. So that's good. However, this craft is actually performing decently with limited control, but this time I'm actually pretty confident I will be able to land much better. Just look at it, how beautiful it goes. 110, 100, and we've landed. What? Not there. Oh boy. Well, we tried land and landed, right? Now, there are some significant adjustments to be made. First of all, we need to disable steering, obviously. However, what I forgot, and that's what some of you might have picked up, I've only disabled steering on the front wheel, which means I'm steering with the 2 back wheels and not the front wheel. And it's gonna take me several iterations to pick on that thing, but then again, you know, it happens. Sometimes I mess up. Now, when it comes to flight, I'm still showing full flights because I don't perceive the vertical stability that it's yet arrested. So that's something that I'm planning to arrest and see if it works. But for the most part, we are at least no longer flipping, which is definitely positive. Jebediah and Bill are having a lot of deja vus when it comes for testing this craft, but for the sake of discussion, let's say that we are pretending to have them. Anyway, yeah, while we're actually watching this come down, by the way, guys, I've just returned from a vacation. I was a Easter vacation, and yeah, I've been away for 3 weeks, so actually 2 weeks. So don't mind me if I'm sometimes talking gibberish. However, I kind of needed that. It was really nice. But anyway, all of the content you have seen has been queued up using my Notion template, which is basically my own sponsorship of this level. If you're interested to do YouTuber stuff, do check the comment below. I will pin it there, and you can actually get all of my Notion templates if you're a Notion user. Okay, that thing aside, let us go for the next landing. Now, we are going at 144 meters per second, which I thought was decent enough. And now I've started dropping the velocity. I'm well aligned, but I'm still a little bit too fast and not bleeding off enough velocity. But okay, we'll do it. No, we won't. Uh-oh. Eject. And clearly, I don't think this was intentional. Now, right, okie doke. That means more air brakes. And by more, I mean more. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot more air brakes and I'm gonna be pitching them everywhere. So the idea is, once we come above the runway, I want to pop the air brakes and the plane needs to come to a screeching halt. Like if somebody has just yanked, you know, the handbrake. That's the target I'm looking for. I know it's not realistic. I don't care. I want to be landing this craft on its own feet. Oh, wheels. Kinda. Anyway, I think this will be the last version of the full flight that I'm showing. And I'm probably gonna be then showing you just the landings because apparently the flight now works. It goes subsonic, it goes supersonic, we can actually control the craft with a moderate amount of authority, and then we need to just stick the landing. Yes. Unlike Starship, which actually broke up in many different pieces, well, I'm not talking about Flight 9, I'm talking about Flight 7 and 8, obviously. Now, look at those air brakes. So, the moment I open them immediately, it's like, oh, okay, you're no longer supersonic, just hold your horses, don't pull on the air brakes. I have a feeling that if I really touch on all of the air brakes, Jeb and Bill will be flying out through the cockpit window and going like, yee, you know. Alright, now, yeah, sometimes it's cheating, but it needs to be done. Look at that velocity dropping. That's nice. Now, let us align ourselves to the runway, and we have to practice our approach. Now, the island runway is short, and it's narrow, and it's bumpy. So, yeah. Okay, arresting the velocity, and come on, landing on the tricycle. I got it. Oh, I guess I don't have it. Yay. Alright. As my good friend Shadowzone would say, again. Now, there is another twist that I wanted to introduce. I wanted to put the canards upwards. To do that, I need to flip the cargo bay below, which will be understandable because my Kerbal will be able to access it from below, which is kind of cool, and reset the experiments and all that jazz. That also means that I would like to introduce here the intakes and then pull in the canards. Okay, I was trying to here mimic the JAS 39A Gripen, but it didn't work. But ultimately I can do it to a smaller degree. Let's see if I can bring the winglets a little bit upwards, a little bit inwards. Yeah, something like that. I know it's not perfect, but I kind of like it. Okay, pulling the wings a little bit down. It doesn't need to be... Oh, and look, it's the center of mass and center of lift seem to be nice aligned. Oh, I'm not gonna be crying about this one, so yeah, let's give it a test. This is the first test of the KAS 39A Gripen. Now, or Kerbin. It's taking off quite nicely, and oh, look at that. Stability, yes. Looks good, yes. And it's not that flippity, doesn't behave like a wet noodle, which is usually sometimes the problem. Okay, kicking in the afterburner. Do we have problems with the yaw authority? Well, moderate degree. And this time I'm not gonna go that high. I'm gonna go and fly quite low because I think it should be enough. Now let's go and try and go supersonic. Yes, there we have. Kaboom! And now I'm gonna be trying, because ultimately now the goal is sticking the landing, as I said. However, I do like the design choice of putting the cargo bay, flipping it upside down, because that gave me this nice silhouette. Right, okay, we are decelerating, and here I'm not yet pulling on all of the air brakes. I can control them now individually because I didn't want the bottom ones to break. So I'm just now going into the subsonic regime, and I do want to drop the velocity to 140, 150-ish, and hopefully everything will be hunky-dory. Now, this turn might be a little bit... Okay, I'm losing velocity, I'm losing control. Okay, come on, don't you dare, sunshine, come on, stick it up, stick it up. Okay, good, we got back control, Now, time to stick the landing. Come on, surface 130, 120, and the final flare. There we go. Okay, well, the air brakes are down, and we didn't manage. Come on. Okay, the plane is intact, Well, you know, any landing you can walk away from, I guess it's a success. Kinda. And we could still do the science. Yay. Well, you know, ultimately, I am kind of happy, but that means we need to do a little bit more iterations. And for some reason, I actually lost control on the next iteration mid-flight. Well, this hasn't happened, and I noticed why, because I actually forgot to disable the controls. However, the plane survived, which shows a remarkable resilience to my stupidity. Now, let's go and practice the landing. Approach at 110, and here you notice that my rear landing gear is steering. Yay, but as you can tell, I'm getting better. Right? Yeah, okay. Try number... Oh, who cares? Now let's go and try and land as decent as we can on the tricycle, and I think it was a little bit too big of a bump. I don't know, why are the wheels so sensitive? They landed like I landed on a jello. Alright, next try. And there we go, 130, 120. We gotta have this final flare a little bit. Okay, that's better. As you can tell, oh, we're braking. Oh, come on. Oh. Yeah, okay. So the goal for the next landing is to have both wings remaining. Okay, let's do a little bit of modification, if you will. At this point, I was getting kind of desperate, so I installed my traditional braking system. Called it PARACHUTES. Parachutes, yeah. And I've hidden them in because I was really ashamed of it. So, I do have a backup braking mechanism. However, it's here only for emergencies, which, I mean, in the previous attempts have been every single freaking time. Anyway, let's try and do the next iteration, and I think this one will be significantly better. We're going to be turning right away, and stay on target. Now, it's flying, we're having a sonic boom. This is the one, guys, I can feel it. This time, we're gonna stick the landing, and Jeb and Bill are gonna be the heroes of the day, and Ford and Bigger's Bet are gonna be the heroes, and the OMG and everybody else, Lo and Deborah and all the other guys have been contributing to this. So, this is it. The moment of triumph now. We're gonna go down, we're gonna be landing, and we're gonna do it right. Okay, place your bets in the comments below. Will we stick the landing this time or not? I'm really curious to see what you guys think. Anyway, we are getting quite close. We are going very slow this time. I have all the braking power that I need. So eventually I'm kind of expecting a positive outcome. We're gonna have to have a descent rate that is slightly less. We come for the final flare. And there we go, landing. What did I tell you? Oh! Shoots! There we go. Take a look at this. Isn't this amazing? And yes, I did use the chutes for braking. And at this point, I realized, holy crap! my rear wheels are steering. It's a good thing that I actually managed to keep any control of the freaking plane. Yeah, that's a small design thing that I actually have to fix. So here is steering enabled, and now it's performing like an actual plane rather than a tricycle. Yeah. So, as you can tell, I am pretty happy with the design, and this will be definitely going into the production. So time to actually test the remaining systems, and that's actually getting out of the freaking plane and performing the science, right? Yeah, let's test this because we really don't want to have a million attempts, finally succeed and stick the landing, and then we cannot get out because the door is obstructed. Now, okay, Jeb, would you do the honors? Yeah, okay, come on. Get out, thank you very much. And let's go down and yeah, let's take a look at what do we have here. We have the experiments, which we will be thankfully performing very well. Once again, guys, thank you for all your help. As always, like if you like the episode and stay subscribed for more that will be coming soon. I see you in the next one.